Gear up, because this is the Fuel Your Marketing podcast, designed to accelerate sales and grow your business. Let's welcome your host, Arti Sharma.
Hello and welcome everyone. Are you ready to level up your search engine optimization game? Well, we certainly are. And in this podcast series on SEO and throughout during this podcast series, we'd explore some of the latest changes in search engine algorithms and discover a few new strategies that promise success with every Google update. From content creation to ranking on search results, how do you demystify the zero-click or no-click mantra, and to organic traffic flow increase, to talking about, voice search, talking about accelerated mobile pages. We've got you all covered. And I promise you that you'll soon be equipped with all the tools necessary for outlasting even the toughest algorithm fluctuations. So let's take a deep dive in. And thank you once again for joining. Well, to get started, though, I want to share some really important fundamentals that I think we need to understand, especially and specifically regarding Google algorithm updates. Well, Google algorithm updates have been happening since 2010, from Google Penguin, Panda, to RankBrain, to a whole lot of Hummingbird. In between, there's been never a change in Google algorithm that has not emphasized on user experience. So it's always focused on user experience. And some of these updates were basically, when I look back, were long-haul strategies that Google predicted. After all, it was Google, right? So with Google's algorithm changing quickly, you really need to be one step ahead of the curve. In this podcast, I'll explore some key changes every marketer should become aware of so that they have a real advantage for any upcoming updates from Google, especially around content, right? So in August 2022, Helpful Content Update was announced, and the last rollout in December 22, I think, was the last major algorithmic update of the year. Now, in 2022 August, when this was rolled out, or I think was announced, it took 2 weeks to roll out, and immediately after the update, many webmasters were thrown into this state of panic. SEOs were talking on forums. There was lots of rumors, and some knee-jerk reactions quickly followed, and leading people down the dangerous path in their projects. I was reading and keeping a track of all of that, and I wanted to step back and not just relax and not be adaptable, not too soon take an action, because I wanted to see what really was happening. And what I really saw was a lot of fear, uncertainty, and doubt within teams, within the client networks, and also amongst a whole lot of agencies that I collaborate with. So there were multiple threads online exclaiming that there was some massive traffic loss, while experienced SEOs and agencies were trying to demystify what was really happening. And we were on that second leg. And, there was a lot of emotional roller coaster ride, and no one wants to be on that. So an agency, we started to take stock of data and kept our calm and stayed data-driven. And what we found out was that being adaptable is important, and I really know that, but it's not fair and not a good step to make too many changes too quick without a data-driven approach. And we didn't want to start making huge changes. Our strategy was that we wanted to kind of, sit back, let the Google adjustments happen, because after every update, Google kind of adjusts its results. And we wanted to see something, what was coming down in the pipeline, which would bring that fear, but also what was the light at the end of the tunnel. And what many marketers did at that time was to react, and they ended up creating more content or added more pages, even if it wasn't needed, because they were in the reaction mode. But before anybody going into that reaction mode, I suggest that what we did, you should have done, which is to take stock of your current content that was driving traffic, measuring the impact. Did you lose ranking really, or did it really, just was a small fluctuation? The objective is not to be making quick changes and quick shifts across the board that are very sudden. Instead, what my suggestion in always, whenever you are hit by a Google algorithmic update, is to make adjustments to make sure that you are staying consistent, your results are staying consistent, and you're moving in the right direction. So if you're hit by another Google update, you have not lost much of traffic, in the second time, because you're not just focusing on one little aspect of the overall holistic Google factors. You're focusing on the user experience in totality. And if you lost a bunch of traffic, then I really sympathize with you. And I understand that it's very hard to bring that traffic back overnight. It just isn't the way to go. But what you really do need is first, slow down, take a deep breath, and clearly see and analyze what really actually happened, and also go into your own data sets, your Google Search Consoles, and understand the word search queries you were ranking for before that you're not ranking anymore. And that can be the first starting point to help you identify any specific content or any particular issues that exist on the website that might be stopping you from doing that well in the search results. Also, when Google comes out with an update and sometimes tells us ahead of time as a marketer, you just can't keep running in that direction. As I said, take a holistic approach, with your overall SEO strategy, because it's really important to think about the user experience and make sure that you're balancing your SEO strategy and not just the one aspect of it is just backlinks or speed or content. So one directional approach is not the way to go. A holistic approach is the way to go. Okay. So, and again, don't take Google at its face value, because they will come out with something totally different while you're focusing and emphasizing on that one little thing that they probably mentioned in one of their Twitter posts, right? Focus on your website as a whole. So going back to the August update of creating helpful content. And when that happened, just remember that, Google came out and said in their exact words that we are always looking to better connect people to helpful information. To this end, we're launching what we're calling Helpful Content Update. That's part of a broader effort to ensure people see more original, helpful content written by people for people in search results. So all this means is Google's backing their human-to-human factor. Google's backing their machine learning factors updates. Google's backing up and saying right for the user. User is the most important. User experience is the most important, right? So in this entire context, Google has always been getting really increasingly, I would say, intuitive, understanding what people mean rather than just the words they use. So there was an outdated methodology like keyword-based search engine optimization that needed to be shifted, and which no longer, unfortunately, works because of all the mix of voice search and images and smart technologies that we're exposed to. And instead, it's about crafting content that relates to a topic, even if different wordings are used, right? So for example, if you're looking for a smart watch online, the best smartwatch for my workout, when you look for smartwatch, you might refer it, as an it in one of your articles, smartwatch, and then referred it as it. That it word is basically Google's becoming intuitive and understanding the meaning that people are using. So basically, it's not just about the keywords, it's about the words that are being used and what are the other intent keywords that are being used in an article or a web page or any kind of content. So it's time to say goodbye to traditional keyword-based SEO tactics and say hello to semantic search engine optimization, I can explain what is semantic search.
This podcast is being brought to you by Measure Marketing, an inbound marketing agency and a HubSpot partner. To book a free consultation, visit measuremarketing.com.
Basically, it is the attempt to generate the most accurate possible result based on the user intent, the searcher intent, and the context of the query, and the relationship between words is given prominence. So, as I said, 2010, Google's been rolling out these updates, Penguin, Panda, Hummingbird 2, Brain Rank, and whatnot. And since then, I think Google's focus has shifted to understanding intent and behavior in 2021 and the context semantics behind them, right? So, if today's search engines have become smarter in understanding how a user is searching, the days of reverse engineering content and, ranking the content higher based on identifying keywords, that is no longer enough. You have to understand what those keywords really mean, provide rich information that contextualizes those keywords, and search engines understand the intent with the two and matches the relationship there, right? So in this age of search engine optimization, where machine learning and natural language processing are helping search engines understand context and consumers' behavior better, we as marketers have to also understand that. We as marketers have to research a little bit more, make sure it's our responsibility to not just focus on key phrases that are meaningful, but they're also relevant and they're authoritative and they can be trusted. And Google today has amazingly advanced capabilities in understanding the meaning behind words and not just their literal definitions anymore. So content that is rich with meaningful answers will be more likely rewarded than pages targeting specific keywords, right? And creating that and crafting that compelling piece of work based on a user query can really help you make a better, I would say, brand visibility, stand out from your competitors for all the right reasons. Now, for a very long time, we've gotten to where we've seen multiple blog posts are being, I think showing up on page one, which are answering the exact same question in basically the exact same way. Because so many people are out there just simply either snipping other people's content, just literally robbing and duplicating it, or just changing the wording on it a little bit. And of course, the AI tools, the latest kid on the block, ChatGPT and Jasper.ai or Copy.ai, is making it really easy. But I bet you Google's going to come out and do that very quickly. It's Google after all. But in the meantime, all of this is being shown up on page one. It's practically plagiarism and just another blog post, which is not authoritative, which is not, you cannot trust because it's a replica of another blog post, right? So what we're seeing on a whole page one in Google search results of basically copy and paste of the exact same answer or exact same blog post. But who really wants to get multiple perspectives to an answer? So next time when you're writing a frequently asked question page or you're writing any schema markups for your SEO, just think twice and think how you're going to be different, how you're going to really become that, how you're going to show your experience, your authority, your trust, and expertise. Now, Google has this, as I said, intent and intelligent ways. Semantic search, we talked a little bit about it. Google works with EAT principles, which stands for expertise, authoritativeness, and trustworthiness. And the first time this started to get used, we have to really go back and make sure that our content has the benchmark that we set for ourselves on those three terms. Expertise, authoritativeness, and trustworthiness. Does our content match that, right? And if it doesn't, then what can we do? So another tool that I really want to leave you with is grouping of your content. So if you're kind of, creating that authoritative content, and when this Google update hit, obviously people-first content was the premise of it. And to build the people-first content, you have to understand the intent, the behavior, the context, all of that fun stuff that we just talked about. But also, sometimes we may not have 1,000 words to express ourselves in a blog post or 2,000 words. Then it's not about the number of words. It's about the authoritativeness and the relevancy and also how promising that content is. So, for example, if you're talking about pet grooming and you obviously do not want to post a 2,000-word blog around pet grooming unless you want to just post one blog and want to kind of, keep that as an authority blog for the rest of the year, and you want to write 3,000 words, which not just talks about pet grooming, but also talks about, dog grooming, cat grooming, and the shampoos that you use, what are the best tips, what should you look for in a groomer, and, how you should, and how often should you do that, what are the other services that you should, talk about pet grooming, and this is coming from me, who is not even a pet mom, right? So, having said that, when I'm talking about grooming your content, you could either take an advantage. Let's take again pet grooming industry. You could write a pillar post around pet grooming and everything about pet grooming, and then you can have another group of content which could talk about dog grooming separately and cat grooming separately. And now you've kind of grouped those content pieces, but they could be interconnected and interlinked. And then you start nurturing that content. Now let's talk about the business-to-business industry. Let's say you are selling financial software, right? And financial software to a variety of different industries. So you may want to start to kind of group your content based on the pain points of one industry, how your financial software solves the pains and the nuances that it can, and it benefits that it brings to that industry by taking control of their finances, how it's easy peasy, lemon squeezy. And for let's say home healthcare industry or financial software for maybe law firms or financial software for mortgage industry or to be a financial software for real estate. So identify your industries and you could niche it according to industries. You could niche it out according to the products that you carry. It could be a niching down according to the locations sometimes. So again, depending upon where you are, grouping of content will be another strategy in 2023 that I highly recommend. And then make sure that once you have grouped your content, you want to make sure that the quality of that content is not superficial. So as I said, you're right, 1,000-word blog, or it can be a 2,000-word blog, but if you're not getting to the point that your users are looking for and you're stuffing it with keywords and visitors are bouncing back of that content, then that content is pretty thin in front of Google, right? And definitely not as authoritative. So the word count will not be of much value in that case. So you must write content or blog posts better, maybe going against the competition sometimes. And that time you might require a longer blog post, but sometimes you may require a more authoritative, each principle-based blog post. And basically information that people need to know, right? And then write for your customers. Again, people-first content, right? And then once you've written a whole bunch of content over the years, take a stock of your existing content and see how you can really nurture it further. Because over time, stagnant content will get pushed down and the rankings in Google and eventually will go out of the top results. So when this update rolled out, one action our agency took was to update the content that we felt was ranking up the charts, has the potential to rank up the charts. And in case if any dropped, we went back and kind of made those content as pillar content pieces, grouped some pieces of content together and made them more meaningful for the people who will consume that content. So people first content, understanding the intent, the semantics, the context, and then grouping them together really was a winner for us. And really hope this strategy, if you've not applied yet, you can take it and apply it. So again, content that is relevant and helpful today will turn out to be junk and unhelpful in a year or two if you left it unattended. So don't just write and never nurture it. Or, it's like a plant. You just can't plant the plant and never water it, right? So go back and water your content. And that's why we list updating content as the most important SEO trend to watch out for in 2023 and beyond. So I hope you found value in it. And if you'd like to DM me, feel free to on our LinkedIn page. Until we speak next, be well, stay content rich, and keep writing for your people. Have a great day.
Thank you for listening to the Fuel Your Marketing podcast. For more episodes, visit www.fuelyourmarketing.com.